Welcome to the Got Trauma Podcast with your hosts, Courtney K. and Monica Newland.
Hello, hello, hello. We are back with another episode.
Here we are.
And we have already done one Trauma Tales, and this is our second one that we're recording to highlight some events that have happened in people's lives who have submitted stories anonymously that we are going to chat about. So we have coined this Trauma Tales. And so thank you for people who have submitted already. We got a juicy one today again. And yeah, but how's your day going?
I mean,
let's back it up a little bit. I'm just getting right into it.
It's pretty good. I mean, it's only been 10 minutes since I saw you last, so not a whole lot's changed.
No,
my coffee's kicked in. I'm definitely feeling the old caffeine vibes.
And we're recording before noon today. This is our second one that we're recording, and it's not even noon yet. We're on a roll here.
Well, at one point I was like, oh no, I don't know if I can do this today. I'm feeling very emotionally spent.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm just going to stay in bed. And then I was like, listen, bitch. Oh yeah, we got to do that. We should do it before we're done. The listen, bitch affirmation. I was like, get your ass up.
Yeah.
Get a coffee into you. Drink a emergency. Get some vitamins. And
yeah, I felt kind of the same way when I woke up too. I don't know if it's like a combination of the week that I've had, and maybe it has something to do with the eclipse. I don't know, but like also when there's a big change in the weather, so it's been like ridiculous here. It's been cold, then it was like summer, and then it was cold again, and then it was summer, and then today is like total doom gloom thunderstorm rain clouds. And I get like really like I feel really off when there's all these like barometric changes. I think is how you say it.
No, I definitely I totally feel that.
I woke up feeling sluggish.
I love a good storm, but I mean I'm more about the like high winds and heavy thunder than I am just the gloomy rain. I need, you got to give me a show. And then I'm okay with it. That's all there is to it.
I do like thunder too, and lightning. Yeah. Okay. So yes. So we have another Trauma Tales to share with everybody.
So
I already told everybody a little bit about what it is. You're going to do this one, right?
Yes, that's what I was trying to say. I was like, I'll just shut up, Courtney. Just shut up for a minute.
Should we get right into it?
Sure. So this is another anonymous one. And I read through this one earlier, and again, it's a little bit, everybody sends this in sort of like a chronological way. Is that how you refer to it?
Like,
so I do find there's not a lot of, there's not a lot of talk about,
the feelings?
You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. I think that's just the way that, maybe it's how we have it set up. I don't know.
We need the feelings. We need we need some more context to like the like listener who submitted the trauma tale, right? We need some like context, like what was going through their head, what they were feeling, that sort of thing. Is that what I mean?
Yeah. Like we want the blood and guts.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what we want.
About it.
Sound like such a fucking morbid thing today. Anyways. Okay, so again, I believe this was submitted by a girl, so because it's anonymous. So to start, it says, picture this. It's New Year's Eve. I'm 15 years old, and we are partying hard. I remember doing ecstasy, mushrooms, drinking, and smoking pot all night long. Then I look over to see my boyfriend sitting on a chair with some hot chicks sitting on his lap, and they were heavily flirting. This obviously didn't sit well with me, and of course, I'm not in the right mindset to address it with calm and ease. Of course, we get into a fight, and my boyfriend leaves the party. I decided to stay with my friends and not ruin the rest of my night. Later that night, when I got home, I find out my boyfriend decided to go back to my house and not his for some reason. My mother was there, and my boyfriend tells her that he's on ecstasy. My mother convinces him to give her the remaining drugs and then proceeds to do ecstasy with my boyfriend that night. Ew.
Ugh.
So I come home to find them both high. Not only am I mad because of his actions at the party, but now I can see that my mother thinks it's fine to do drugs with my friends.
Oh my God.
And God knows what else took place that night. Ooh, yeah, that would be.
Oh, it makes me sick to my stomach.
And sadly, this was not an isolated incident.
Oh, fuck.
Fuck, eh? Yeah, I hate to
Ugh.
say that I relate to that one.
I know, so do I. This one's like very
That
triggering for me.
A little bit, yeah. I can definitely attest to
it's
that.
actually giving me some creepy crawlies because I've talked about in previous episodes that my house was like the party house. So I not only was I partying, but my mother was as well. So I can understand the confusion and fucking disbelief and disgust.
Oh, it's really hard when a parent takes that role, right?
They try to become the buddy.
Yeah. I mean, being a buddy, like, there is, like, I mean, there's different types of buddy, though, like, there's the mom, like, I mean, I used to let, my oldest daughter have, a couple drinks, whatever, as she was a teenager and growing up. But I mean, like, I would never be like, here, want to blow some lines or take some ecstasy together? Like,
yeah, and
no.
she was also not 15. Like, this person said she was 15 years old. Like, that's so young.
Yeah, that is
yeah, it's one thing to be like, hey, we're having, like a party and it's a safe environment and you are safe with me and let's, sure, you can have a little bit of wine or a cooler or something like that and
Coolers,
being, like
coolers.
youngish and like doing that. Like, I can wrap my head around that. This a little different.
Well, the promoting and the boyfriend part, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'd be like, did my mom fuck my boyfriend?
Yeah.
That's what I would be thinking.
That's kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah, that's what I would 100% be thinking. That I would, again, I have had that situation happen, not the actual, fully physical part of that whole,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Well, I don't know why all of a sudden I just drew a blank on that. Anyway, I'm like trying to be PG, and then I'm like, but you say fuck all the time, so why are you? What are you trying to sugarcoat here, Court? Like, what are we doing?
Okay, so let's like back it up for a second because the person starts off the story with they were 15 and they were high on ecstasy and mushrooms and drinking and weed.
That's a lot of drugs in one night.
Okay, like 15 years old, like that's. I mean, like, I have done my fair share, so whatever, but like, that just breaks my heart because why that girl? Because we know it's a girl because she refers to her, well, we're assuming she refers to her boyfriend.
I'm pretty sure she calls her, I can look back while you talk.
Like, thinking about like what even propelled her to be wanting to escape reality. So, I mean, she says it's New Year's Eve. Okay, like we indulge in these events, New Year's Eve is a good party night, right? But like that seems a little extreme. Sounds like she's probably got some stuff that she's trying to escape from. It would be
I'm going to say it's
guess.
definitely a girl because she's talking about some hot other girl sitting in his lap. Sure. So that's sort of my indicator there.
That obviously didn't sit well with her. Yeah, that's what it says.
No.
So yeah. So, I mean, that's my first thought is like, wow, this young girl is, partying hard and doing a lot of recreationals and not taking care of herself and putting herself in a bit of a scary situation to begin with.
Absolutely. And I think the other part of this too is if you think about it, you come home to be safe.
Yeah.
Because you've had this particular experience. You come home to be safe only to find an even more potentially fucked up situation that you're walking into.
Yeah.
So, like the environment that you have associated safety to is now unsafe. And like, that could have ended a whole lot worse. I mean,
yeah, they don't go into context about like what kind of took place after that. It was just.
Yeah, I think we need to dial that in for people when they're
Yeah,
submitting
like what
stories.
happened after that? So you came
Yeah.
home to this, did you just go to sleep and just try
I
to
think we need
ignore
more
it? Like,
descriptive questions.
yeah,
In
yeah,
the
more details. But
yeah,
you can tell that this person obviously, like, I mean, they submitted a trauma tale, so this is obviously
yeah, like we don't even know when it was. Not that dates
something that
matter,
sat with
but
them.
just are we speaking past tense? You know, like did this happen last week?
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, like where are they at today in relation to like
Yeah,
after this happened? Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, exactly.
Kind of wanting to know those deets.
Yeah.
I mean, we appreciate the submissions. I don't want to be shitting on them. That's not what my intention is. I'm calling error on our part for not dialing in the.
It's okay. We're learning.
Well, this is true.
We're learning what we because now that we're talking about it, it's like, okay, yeah, we do need like more information.
We're not fucking Diane Sawyer here. I mean, that might be the direction we're going in.
Well,
but
it's a good thing we're not actually interviewing them because we would. Well, I guess we'd be able to ask them though, so maybe that would actually be better. But this is anonymous listener tale, or trauma tale. So, so yeah, obviously this person has been dealing with some shit because if their parent thinks that they can just like take the drugs and then do the drugs, like, so this parent is obviously not a very fit parent.
Well, and you have to wonder how long has that been happening?
Like, yeah, like how does that just happen?
Like did you just discover this? Like, could you imagine it was a situation where like, you know, you thought your mom was like June Cleaver and all of a sudden you come home and she's
off her rocker on ecstasy?
Like, yeah. She's like Joan Jett all of a sudden. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be I shouldn't say that because having Joan Jett as a mom would be pretty fucking cool. I just didn't really have anything to compare that to, so I went with the first name that popped in my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be hard.
Like, you know, sorry to this person who's experienced this. Just like the other trauma tale we did, like these are very difficult scenarios to go through. And these are stories that like people experience and then they don't talk really about, and you don't like, this is where you bottle the stuff up, and then all these events that are happening, and then they build and they build and they build, and then you explode, or you know, like you develop some sort of fucking problem because you know, you become, you know, like you self-inflicted, you know.
Well, we trauma shame ourselves, and it's really funny that we're kind of going in this direction because I was actually having this conversation. I actually made a TikTok video about it, about trauma shaming. Because how many times do we tell ourselves that our story is not that important? Nobody wants to hear it. You know, like nobody's going to give a shit about this and blah, blah, blah. And then we tell ourselves this. So we create this inner dialogue that's really negative, and then we keep suppressing and suppressing and suppressing and suppressing. And it's kind of like the release that I had this morning because I'm like, I want to let this shit go. Like, I don't want to hold on to it anymore. But it's been so ingrained in me for so many years.
Yeah.
That it's not, it's like concrete to the walls. You got to chip that shit away. Like, it's not just gonna.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not just gonna melt away and you're gonna be like this free fucking healed spirit.
Yeah, it's not like you experience these things and then you just like choose to just ignore it and then it just never affects you again.
Well,
like,
no,
sadly, that's not what happens.
Ride on, you know, what people say collectively when people are like, oh God, you hear like bitching about that thing again. Yeah. And I mean, like, I've been guilty of that myself, you know, where you're just kind of like, oh, I could talk about that again. Then you're like, wait a minute, back the train up here. Like,
yeah,
you don't know what that person's experiencing or how bad this has affected them. So it's not my place to judge that. And I really feel that way in moments when I do this to myself where I'm like, it's not important.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to care
I do
about
that
this.
For sure. I do that to myself.
You know?
Yeah.
And it is important to talk about it.
And it's also difficult, especially when you're like when you're healing, you're trying to not sit in the shit of it. Like you're trying, you need to like move through these things, but you don't want to like ruminate in it. So you don't want to like continuously, you know, be like talking about all the problems, but you have to like release somehow. Well, and hopefully this is the trauma tales. That's sort of like our approach with this is we're kind of hoping like, if you have some stories you want to talk about, but you don't want to like come on and record yourself, or you don't want to like do it in a very physical way. This is like, get your story out there, release that, like being able to just tell a story that really bothered you.
Well, and to hear
that
it
you
read
are really able to
from,
talk about. Like, this is a good way to do it. Like, share like these events that have happened, share these stories, get that shit off your chest. Like, we're hoping that we can kind of be a bit of a soundboard for you to like share your problems, share your issues, share your stories, and we can help, you move a little bit through it. Just by talking about it, you move through it.
Well, I do really feel like when you hear, and I mean, even for us, like doing the podcast and having to like edit and rewatch yourself,
it's tough.
and hearing yourself talk about these things, and all of a sudden you're in that, you're like, wow, you look at yourself as a different person, not, the person that needs to hold all this shit.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, like, fuck, that did suck for me. And I deserve to talk about this. And I'm really, kind of kicking myself in the ass that I was so hard on myself and told myself that it wasn't important. I am fucking important. This is important. You can't go through so many years of bullshit and just pretend. And I mean,
even with this story, it says like, sadly, this wasn't an isolated event. So whether it was before or after, this person's obviously saying that, she witnessed this happen, and then,
more things
transpired, whether it was like
before or after is hard to say. Maybe both. Right.
Yeah, maybe both. Yeah.
And that's, like that's, it is such a, it is so hard to, you really just want to stand in your truth, and you want to be able to say it, but it is hard. Like, there's so many things that come with it. You feel like shit afterwards, but you do also feel like you've released, but again, it's chipping at concrete. It's not melting wax, right? Like it's just a harder process. And depending on the levels and the layers of whatever you've been through, like if there was a cure for post-traumatic stress disorder or complex post-traumatic stress disorder, I'd be all over that shit, like white on rice.
Yeah, that's interesting, because the first Trauma Tales is kind of like PTSD. And this trauma tale is kind of like the complex post-traumatic stress, right?
Absolutely.
Actually, just like now that we're looking at these two. The first one was like one sort of big event. This is, this person says it wasn't an isolated event. So like, this is an experience that they would have had. That is sort of what that is basically what the complex post-traumatic stress is, when whether they're small or large events, it's more along the lines of like repeated events. And, like, even just in the story, there's like, it's multifaceted again, just like the first one. It's like this young girl is doing all these recreationals, which is scary in itself. And she's obviously, in my mind, probably running away from something, hiding from something, numbing herself to something, because like doing that much, it's one thing to have a couple of drinks, one thing to smoke a bit of pot, but then you're like layering,
you're layering
serious recreationals. So like, that's just like the one aspect of it. And then it's, going into, like you said, going home, which is supposedly their safe space, with their family. It sounds like she expected her mom to be there. And obviously the boyfriend expected somebody to be there, because he just shows up, and then it spirals off into this whole other thing. And you're like, holy shit, you walk into that. And then like, what would be going through your mind? Like, for me, it would be like anger. I'd be fucking pissed. I'd be like, everybody, I don't know if I would even stay. I might end up leaving.
I don't know. I that's a good question. I feel like I'd be hurt.
Oh, and I'd be hurt.
Extremely uncomfortable, and probably probably throw myself into a panic attack, being like, oh my God, what happened? Well, I wasn't here. I mean, knowing my brain and how I operate, that's where my mind would be going and be like, well, what the fuck?
And
what did you do?
The other like piece of this is, now all of a sudden, like, the boyfriend's basically like ratted out his girlfriend to her mother to be like, oh yeah, we were on ecstasy tonight. Oh yeah, she's like doing these drugs. That's just like another piece of it.
Well, there's a lot of
that
illegal
trust issues been like broken. And
well, yeah, there's so many potential illegal things happening, right? Like, first of all, it's illegally doing drugs, and then, I mean, illegally possibly having sex with a minor.
And
That's
children. Yeah.
that's a thing, right? I mean, that's
I mean, it kind of is implied in the story that, yeah, like God only knows what else happened that night. Yeah, I'd be mad. I don't know if I'd stick around that night. I think I would try to go somewhere else. I don't think I would stick around in that event.
It'd be so hard. It depends what kind of shape you're in, right?
You feel like if like, I'm just saying for myself, I would be mad. I'd probably address the situation. My fuse is pretty short, so I feel like I would probably end up addressing the situation. It wouldn't be very good.
Throwing fists, throat punches for everybody.
What the fuck, man? This just would blow my mind.
Yeah, I honestly don't. I mean, like I said, I had a similar, like not a similar situation in the sense that there was intercourse, but just walking into, or having a friend walk into a situation like that with my own parent, and being like, yo, you're, someone's making out with your buddy there, and you're like, the fuck?
Yeah.
I can't say as I was really upset about it. I was just sort of like,
dumbfounded,
grossed out, just kind of like, well, this is awkward. Like, why would we do this? This is silly.
Yeah.
But again, when you're so desensitized to this type of abnormal behavior, because it's just such a constant in your life that you become, trained to believe it's normal.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't react.
Well, that's just it. Because like when you're telling that story, it's, you want to believe that, oh, well, like this is a parent, and like you're saying you're grossed out about it. Like you want to be having respect, ideally it's like you respect your parents, you respect their actions, you respect what they do. And then you see this and it's just like the respect is not there. And then you've spoken about this in past episodes that you felt like you were more of a parent at times. Like you kind of alluded to that by in that story that, I wasn't really bothered by it in the sense of like it hurt you. It was more so that this is gross. And that's more of like, you treated your mom more of like a friend than a parent.
Well, exactly. It just sort of evolved into that sort of a situation, right? I don't know.
It's as a parent now, like, and I mean, you have a teenager. Well, I guess she's not a teenager anymore. She's
21.
But like you've been a cool mom, like, but you haven't ever gone down like any of these roads of like trying to be a buddy, like.
Not really.
Why do parents do that? Why do they think that that's like a good approach, or is it just that they're trying to?
I think it depends. I really do feel it depends on the style of, but I'm going to call it buddy parenting. Because there are people that have, their relationships with their kids are amazing, and they do have that sort of buddy mentality. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it if there are boundaries.
Yeah.
And
safe, and there's boundaries. Yeah.
Well, there's safe and there are boundaries. And I mean, I think it's sort of a beautiful thing. I mean, it's something I always dreamed of doing, was being able to hang out with Haley. And I mean, I have been able to do that. And like, we've, gone to the bar together a couple of times, and, nothing crazy, but it is fun to be able to hang out with your adult children.
Yeah.
And, be adults with them, and, kind of experience them as the people that they've evolved into. And I mean, like, when we go out, it's like dancing, and, we have a couple drinks, and it's nothing crazy. Like, we're not, we're not getting too looped up.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the situations like this, I really try not to judge, because parenting is such a fucking hard, finicky, there is no, I don't like there's no, what's the word? I want to say there's no like right or wrong way. There's always a better way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, as long as you're not subjecting your children to the shit that we were subjected to.
Yeah.
And continuously and with absolutely zero regard.
Yeah.
I do believe you can have these relationships with your kids as long as you have boundaries in place. Your kids are still your kids. And I mean,
it's sad because this situation, so it says, that the mom convinces the boyfriends to give her the drugs. It's like, okay, it would sound like they're the parents trying to be responsible. Oh, okay, you guys are on a lot of drugs. Do you still have more drugs? Why don't you give me those drugs? I want to keep you in a safe environment. But then so it's like, what a slap in the face. It's like, oh, okay, I'm going to take care of you. But actually, then I'm going to sit here and do the drugs with you.
I think that's exactly,
that's sort of the party.
What do you call that? Would you call that, like, that's the paradigm, right? Like, you wouldn't do that. Say
Never.
you're, like the giant party that we have in the summertime.
Yeah.
Where we have the band and we have the barbecue. And like all our friends come with their kids, and some of the kids, there's a couple kids that are underage and they have beers and they have a great time. And like, I grew up like that with my dad. Like, that was something, my dad would take me when we go out, he played music, and you'd have a couple of drinks. Like, you weren't getting shit faced and throwing up in a field or anything crazy like that.
Yeah, or like driving or anything. Yeah.
No, you were having a good time. I don't know. Like, I know that this may be like a very sensitive subject for some people, and they may not appreciate my thoughts on it, which is fair, but I don't see anything wrong with it if it's responsible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just my personal opinion. I agree. If you're being responsible, I don't see a problem with it. I think it's, it's kind of fun. I had a great time with my dad when I was, 15 and 16, following him around. He's going and playing music, and, you're drinking beers behind wherever, and you're having fun, but you're not. I mean, my dad was never one of these people. Like, he was always like, cut you off at a certain, probably 2 or 3 beers. Okay,
like,
that's
he's
enough.
Paying attention. Yeah, he's like not just letting you go wild. Yeah.
No,
hurt
exactly.
yourself. Like, that's the difference. No. Yeah, like, you're trying to, like, you're providing like a safe environment to like experiment a little bit, but it's not like. Yeah.
No, exactly. And it wasn't like it was something that was influenced. It was, I know you're going to do this, so I'd rather be with you while you're doing it. I'd rather have the control if something gets out of control. Yeah. And I mean, it's weird to say that, considering, like with my mom, it wasn't like that. I mean, it's hard. That was just a totally different experience on that part. But with my dad, it was very much, he wanted to like, I think he always just wanted me to be an adult. Like, that was just, he needed me to be that support system for him. So,
and I mean, even in this story, like, obviously the mother didn't think that there was anything wrong with doing drugs with a minor. So it's like, whether she thought that she was like on the level of a 15-year-old, or she wanted the 15-year-old to be on the level of an adult, like, it's just very confusing and very, like, in my opinion, very sad, and like, really, yeah.
It really
gross
is
to me.
It actually, and this just popped in my head, and this reminds me of something. A really long time ago, I think I was probably 17. I had some friends that came over, and they had some drugs. They had some cocaine and some other stuff, and they were doing it, and my dad was doing it with them. And I was kind of like, these friends were a lot older than me, though. Like, I was 17, they were in their 20s. So,
okay.
Anyways.
So they were adults.
Yes. Yeah. So my dad was, partaking of the festivities.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of curious, and he looked at me and he said, no.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, no, I'm not going to do that with you. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, we're not crossing that line.
No. And it was really, I was kind of surprised, right? But he was just like, no. He's like, people lose livelihoods and houses over this shit.
Yeah.
I don't want you to get into that. So it was just really, again, like, this is just the fucked up things that, happened, like the moments of responsibility, and then the moments of absolutely zero responsibility. And then, what I mean? Like, it was very much like I was
confusing.
I was on a teeter-totter all the time. I didn't really know if I was going to be up here or whether I was going to be holding down. Like, you just didn't know. Right. So, but those were my experiences. But yeah, my dad was very much like, no, I don't want to do that with you. And I don't, we're not crossing that bridge.
Yeah.
So, yeah, weird, right? Like, crazy.
Yeah, but I think that's like, that's a good story to provide context, because, I mean, whatever the recreational activity is, I think, like, that's a bit of a difference. Is like, it's one thing for like a parent to be like, oh, okay, so you experimented, you did a lot of stuff tonight, give me the drugs. I want to keep you safe. We'll talk about it in the morning, or let me know if you need anything, or I'll sit with you to make you feel okay.
Yeah.
because you're going through some, whatever, you're high as fuck.
Yeah.
Versus like, oh, this looks like a good time. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just sitting around
exactly.
doing fucking nothing. Like, give me those drugs, and I'm gonna do them with you. And then like, it's
Yeah.
just such a crazy. Like, for me, it's just like,
Well,
and it's like I said, it's triggering for me because I did see my
gross.
mom do a lot of that stuff, and
Yeah.
like she used to party with us, and like think it was fine to party with us, and then like bring the party into our house. And I came home to seeing some of my friends be like hanging out with my mom. Yeah, it always, obviously, it was always uncomfortable, and like it's just ick
Well,
to me because
it's a big boundary to cross, right?
Yeah, like
it's a big boundary to cross because like, I mean, it's
like whether or not she knew that me, like like we were like doing stuff is one thing, but like to be going about it in like a way where she thinks that she could do it too with us, like because like she would drink with us and stuff, and like it was always uncomfortable for me.
Well, yeah, I can understand. See, again, like it's different for me because like you're the parallel, like you being that you all of a sudden one day, you just pretty much woke up to a different person.
Yeah.
Whereas I was, like this was instilled
groomed
from birth.
From an early
it just
age.
continued. It evolved, like the weirdness. It started pretty fucked up, and then it just kept, snowballing into more fucked upness that, eventually.
Yeah.
So, I mean, unfortunately I had years for a foundation to be built. For me. So for you, I can understand that being harder because you're like, okay, who the fuck is this person? And what?
It's like, it was always like I was walking into like, it was like, what sort of crazy scenario was going to happen today? What was like, what next? What next? What next? What next? It's like the reason probably why I have like the catastrophizing mindset, and I'm always like on edge. I don't have like my guards always up because I'm always expecting some sort of crazy event to happen, or some thing I'm walking into, or them, people who I care about doing something that's going to hurt me. And, and this type of a story, like that's why it was triggering to me, because that type of story would be something that I would have experienced. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I related to some of those parts too.
Yeah.
And again, like it triggers me, but not in the same way, because it's just, for me, I hate to say it, but that was like it was like a fucking Tuesday,
Yeah.
Of you just kind of like, oh, here we go again, right?
Yeah.
So, but I can understand why that would be super triggering for you, because it's a lot of, it just reminds you of the person you knew, and then the person that just evolved that wasn't the person that you needed. Exactly. Yeah. That's that is challenging.
Well, it would be interesting to know where she is these days, and to see if this was recent, or if this was like 10 years ago or longer or something. But it would be interesting to see if like what those other events were, or
absolutely. We'll definitely dial in the questions. We got to dial in the questions. We'll get on that.
Maybe to like, if you want to submit a trauma tale, like hit these, like kind of answer these sort of points or something like that. I don't know, so that we can get a little bit more context. Although this one, like, I feel like we were able to we got a bit of a story there.
Well, we related to a lot of this. So that was a big one. I mean, the last one we didn't really relate to that much, aside from like a couple like weird things, but nothing, like we're literally talking about our fucking childhoods here. And it's amazing how many people are out there that have had these same experiences. Again, why this is so important, building this community and having people come in and share this stuff, because you're not alone. I mean, one way or another, somebody will reflect something that you've gone through. So
exactly. So keep sharing the stories. We appreciate them all. We hope to get to every single one of them, is our hope. So keep submitting them, and we appreciate the community that we're building and the support systems that we're providing, each other, which has been lovely. And all right, well, I guess we're looking forward to the next one.
Yippers.
Thank you again.
All the things. Sorry, before we go, I just want to throw this out there. If you guys like these particular
trauma
like
tales?
shows more, maybe if Trauma Tales is something that you think we should kind of, maybe that's our direction.
Let
us know.
Tell
Yeah,
us.
like we need to know. Put it
Do
in
you
the
want more of
YouTube
like
comments.
the topics? Yeah, more of like because our previous episodes have been very like one specific topic, and then we go pretty deep into it. Where these are a little bit quicker, a little bit more to like the point, but then we're uncovering different sort of aspects of it, and we don't really know what we're going to uncover until we start talking about it as well. Because this isn't like pre-planned really.
I'm
or
not
anything.
gonna lie, I kind of like these ones better, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, this is nice. I mean, we can always talk about those other bigger topics, but maybe not as frequently.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe this is a little bit something we can do a little bit more often. Yeah. So, Trauma Tales, please keep submitting your stories, and we'll do this again, and we'll keep it going. And thank you everybody for your love and support.
Yes, thank you guys.
We will see you in the next episode. Thanks everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to hit those subscribe and share buttons. We'll see you at the next one.